Hi, this is Hank Pomerantz. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Army Corps of Engineers surveys for the Intracoastal Waterway. Those of you who have spent some time on the waterway may be familiar with these products. Just as a little bit of background, the Army Corps of Engineers is responsible for doing the dredging and also for surveying the entire or most of the entirety of the ICW. And it's unfortunate, but there's not enough money for dredging. But the good news is that they do a fairly good job of at least aperiodically surveying the bottom of the ICW, so we know as cruisers where the shallow spots are and hopefully how best to avoid it. The problem with the access to the surveys is not that they're not made public. In fact, the screen that you're looking at right now is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Wilmington, North Carolina office. You'll notice looking on here that under hydrographic surveys, there's a thing here called ICW, Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway, Coastal Inlets and Crossings, and a couple of other special ones. Our difficulty in getting to these surveys is that when we click on something like Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway, we get a chart basically that says, okay, well, all the way down here, this is the entire ICW from Norfolk to all the way to Little River, South Carolina, and it's done in segments. So let's say I was interested in something between Beaufort, North Carolina, and Cape Fear. Well, then I would click on here, and then I get this page, and it tells me the section 1 goes from Beaufort to Swansboro, and then here's tangent AA. Here's the survey date of March 2017, and it gives me three potential formats to look at. I can look at a PDF file. If I have Google Earth, I can look at it in Google Earth as a KMZ file. And if I have some sort of plotting software, something where I can take X, Y, and Z, which is essentially latitude and longitude and depth, then I can plot those out directly. Most of us have a tendency to want to say, oh, look, I can look at a PDF file. But our problem here is that I have no idea where tangent AA is located. So if I click on PDF file, and I'm doing this live now, so I apologize for the delay, then I get this PDF file. And that's a lovely PDF file, but I have absolutely no clue as to where it is. I can look up here and it says MC. That would indicate that that's the Morehead City buoy. But there's a little bit of interesting information on here besides for just that buoy. The first thing to bring your attention to is that these are color coded and the depths are always provided in the legend. So I don't see any red on here, but you can see that the deep red is 4 feet and shallower, and then there's 4 to 6 feet, 6 to 7, with the deep water being blue. So essentially this is telling us that wherever this is, there's pretty deep water. If this is the ICW channel across here, there's pretty deep water all the way through the stretch. Again, I just don't know where that is. And another thing that's important here is that these depths are at mean lower low water. In other words, I like to think of these as pessimistic. These are depths that if you were to hit these at low water, these are probably the depths you'd see. Okay, so what we're trying to accomplish in this project that we're working on is to, number one, make this much more user friendly. In other words, we leave the surveying up to the Army Corps of Engineers, but we look at the visualization and how to use it for cruising as something that we can help them out with a little bit. So here, going back to that, this is back to the website. I'm going to leave this website now because that's enough of an introduction into how the Army Corps is presenting the data. And I'm going to go to something that we're developing. Right now we're calling this Nautical Quickmap. I'm not sure what the ultimate name of this is going to be. But what you're looking at here, obviously, is the east coast of the United States. And it's just a plain old map. You're used to seeing these maps. But when I go over here to the left side here, I can call up different layers. You'll notice I have something here called nautical data. Well, this nautical data has all kinds of wonderful information on it. First of all, the RNCs, these are nautical charts. So I can turn on and off nautical charts as simply as that. One of the things I can do also, by the way, is very easily, you see up here there's a plus and a minus for zooming, but I can also basically just zoom in on an area like that. And typical of what we're seeing in our chart plotters is that when you zoom in on an area like this, that you get more and more information out of it. So nautical charts, you just like all these layers, you just turn them on and off when you want to see them. You can slide this around so you can pan, you can zoom. Another feature of this thing is you see over here it says U.S. Army Corps of Engineer hydrographic surveys for this is the Wilmington office and this is the Charleston, South Carolina office. We're here in the North Carolina area. I'm going to go ahead and turn on these Army Corps of Engineers surveys. Now you'll notice when I did that hopefully you can see this on the screen. You see these rectangles. These rectangles are all Army Corps of Engineers surveys. So what we've essentially done already is to take what you saw here, right here, let me go back to this. Rather than seeing tangent AA, now these are located on your nautical chart. Again, the nautical chart is something you can or don't have to look at, but there's the same thing without the nautical chart. Okay. So let me take a closer look. Here, this is New River Inlet. I like to look at these nautical charts to have these up because at least when you do that, it's very, very easy. You know, say I'm planning on going by New River Inlet tomorrow, and let me take a look to see what the nautical chart looks like. Let me first of all find New River Inlet. You'll notice that as I zoom in, what's happened here is that and maybe a little bit difficult to see, but you'll notice here that the survey is already appeared. So let me zoom in a little bit further, like that, around there. And now there's the latest survey for New River Inlet. And again, you can slide these down like that. Okay. So when I look at this, I get all kinds of wonderful information very, very quickly. And again, you know, it can continue. Let's just continue to zoom in here because we like to take closer looks at things. I mentioned earlier that these are color coded and the color codes go by depth. So one of the things you can do over here on the side here is you can click on info, and the info gives you the color codes. Remember, these are mean lower low water, and these so here are your depths. So the ICW is basically coming out here from the right side. You'll notice if you were to continue to follow the ICW around, you'd have this pretty severe shoal. So the track must be somewhere in here. I mean, that's really the way you kind of look at this. And so if I have like anything from a 4 to 5 foot draft, I would definitely run into trouble here throughout this area at low tide. Okay. So you can keep that on or you can turn that off just simply by turning the information off. What we've added too is that when you look at these surveys, when you look at the PDF file, for example, it gives you the position of buoys at exactly the time that the survey was taken. Well, those buoys change, especially around these inlets. So what we've done is, in addition to providing you the survey, we've reached into the U.S. Coast Guard weekly updated light list and essentially allow you just with a toggle, just to toggle on, there's toggling on the red marks and there's a toggle on the green marks right there, as you can see. All right. So immediately here you can see that this red 72 alpha, which used to be up here somewhere, is now been moved down here. Now let me turn these off for a second, because here you can see these are the charts. This is the charted position of these marks. So it looks like 71 is still in the charted position. 72 is also properly placed. So let's go ahead and turn the survey back on. So there's my red and green marks. This is what I would expect. Now I will tell you that the survey was done at a certain date. We are updating these surveys routinely to make sure that we're giving you the latest survey. But we also are updating these weekly light lists. Well, we're updating them weekly so that as the Coast Guard moves these marks, hopefully they're keeping up with the current positions on the weekly light list. Now, for planning purposes, you might want to say, well, all right, what's my real path through there? How do I get through there? One of the capabilities we're developing has to do with this ability to draw a path through these areas. So, for example, you could do something like this, and then essentially provide you the latitude and longitudes of each of these points. Okay, so you can, and what we'd like to do is put these in GPX format so that you can essentially transfer them over to your chart plotter. So that's how that works. Nice planning tool. So let's say now I'm done with this. I have a good sense of what that looks like. I can go over here. If I wanted to capture that, I can do a couple of things. If I like that picture, I can do something which is just download a PNG. And when I download a PNG, it just automatically, you'll see it going on down here. You'll see it automatically downloading the image. The other thing I can do is create a URL, a location for this thing, and we call it a permalink. So if I want to generate a short URL, or even just use a long one, I can generate a short URL, and then I can copy that. So what I've generated now, I can copy that to my clipboard. Okay. So once I've done that, let me open up another browser thing here. All I have to do is just click on that, hit paste, and it should go right there, and there it is. So now what you have on your phone or your iPad or whatever device you're using is the current image that you made. Okay, and so that's that. And then again, of course, you can download that picture. So either way you want to do that, that's fine. If you have an iPhone, let's say, that has built-in GPS, and you want to be able to track your way through this, we're working on the capability of being able to just turn on follow location, and as long as you have internet access, in other words, as long as you have access to the server right now, you can actually track yourself on this display through there, which is really a sweet. It's going to be a really sweet capability. So those are the kind of things that you can do in the settings here. Again, create a picture of what your screen looks like, create a URL so you can get direct access to it, draw a line through it, and then you can go back to layers, and again you can turn these layers on and off. Let's say now that you're done with that, you're finished with that. Well, if you want to, you can just zoom out. Say, okay, well, let's go see what the next excuse me, what the next problem area is. Here's Browns Inlet. Browns Inlet has also always been known to be a potential problem area, and again we just do the same thing. Once all these things are in place, then as I move the screen, then I'm automatically getting all of the information is already there. So again, here's a blow up of that. And this would basically tell me that there's a pretty clear path through there as long as I honor the marks. Okay, so that's the way that goes. One of the things you can do is to get a sense of the how recent the data is there. If I just put a little mark on there like that, a little trapezoid there, or a triangle in this particular case, or polygon, I can simply click on that and query it, and it says U.S. Hydrographic Surveys, and it tells me the date of the most recent survey, that there are 2 surveys involved in here, and there's the dates of the surveys. And the surveys are important. The survey dates are important, and it's definitely something you want to keep track of, because especially around the inlets, the more current the survey, the better it is. And then when you're done with that, you can just turn that off. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. This is a very graphic way of looking at it. I think it's going to be a great planning tool for you, and we look forward to continuing to develop this as we go. Right now, the surveys are in there. These surveys of this nature are in there all the way from essentially north of Little River Inlet, South Carolina, all the way up to into Virginia. You can go up here. There's across the Neuse River. There's some surveys up here. Notice all the buoys are located, and these are again current buoys. And here's more more surveys all the way up through the across the Albemarle Sound, all the way up through here. So we all know that this is a skinny area as an example. So if we zoom in on there, there you go. There's the latest survey in there. So anyway, that's the way this works. Hope you have a pretty good understanding of the direction we're headed, and we'll look forward to updating you soon. Again, this is Hank, and thanks for watching.